Let's talk about how to write copy that sells. You're about to discover 4 key elements required, all right? These are required elements to write a winning sales letter. And these 4 elements are found in every winning sales letter, and I'm gonna show it to you so you can use them in your letter. So stick around, let's get ready to rock. So let's discuss how we're gonna write copy that sells. These 4 key elements. See, when most people start writing copy, this is for new copywriters, even more experienced copywriters, they focus on the wrong things. They focus on things like sentence structure and techniques and some methods and like the most persuasive way to say something and things like that. And what they forget about is the structure. They forget about the foundation of their actual selling message. Take this house, for example. Clearly, they didn't start with a blueprint. They didn't start with a foundation. They just kind of pieced it all together, which is what happens with a lot of people's sales copy. And there's a lot of good parts to this house. It just doesn't look like a house that you and I would probably want to live in, right? And, building a house like this and focusing on sentence, structure and like the little techniques and the persuasive things and how to say this and how to say that is like focusing on the nails and the screws of your house. If you were to focus on the best nails and the best screws, you might have the best nails and screws, but you might end up with a house that looks like this, a dilapidated pile. And that's what happens when you forget the foundation and you forget the structure and you forget the blueprint of your actual sales letter. You end up with a dilapidated house, dilapidated sales message. So winning sales letters, every one of them, all right, winning sales letters, emails, landing pages, ads, they all have winning formulas and winning structures, all right? And I'm gonna show you those. If you need to see more winning sales letters, you can grab it at the big book. It's a big book of copy ideas. It's dozens upon dozens upon dozens of winning sales letters from 1900 until today, all right? I've compiled this over the last 8 years of my copywriting career, and I'm totally willing to give it to you free. Just head over to clearcutcopywriting.com/big book. And you can, what you're gonna see today is you can go through the sales letters in this big book and you can break down the structures and winning formulas so you can use them, all right? This is extremely powerful. So here we go, the structure of a winning sales letter, all right? And the key here is winning sales letters, is there's 4 key elements. And these elements are found in every winning sales letter. They may not be in the same order that I'm gonna present them in, but they're always there, all right? And if you include these 4 elements in your message, in your sales message, it's almost guaranteed to be a success. Of course, there's some things where you gotta, get the right message to the right market, but if you include these 4 things and you actually know who you're selling to and it's something they want, it's gonna work. Trust me, like it will work, promise you. So let's take a look at the first element. And again, I just threw it up there for you. Not every sales letter uses these elements in the same order. You can mix and match them, but they do have to be in the sales message or it doesn't work. All right, so the first element, which you're probably very familiar with, is to make a promise. All right, this is the thing, like you gotta make a claim. You have to promise them something better than where they're at right now, right? The whole point of us, this person purchasing your product or service is because their life is gonna be better for it. So let's take a look at this example here. I got a little close. It's not exactly that big for me to read. You can read it right up here. But here it is. The date gold is poised to soar to 5,000. And the one virtually unknown gold trade to make now in order to earn a once in a lifetime 27 times more than simply holding bullion. So there's your promise, right? So the promise is that gold is going to jump to 5,000 and you can make 27 times more with just this one single trade. All right, there's the big promise. Now, promise is where most copywriters and marketers pretty much kind of stop. They're really good at stringing together claims and promises, but they never do anything else. And that leads us to our second element inside of this. And our second element is proof. All right, this is probably the most powerful thing because people want to believe you, but they're looking for every reason not to believe you. So as a copywriter, as a marketer, and you're trying to sell your products or services, or if you're writing for other companies or other people, if you're a freelancer, it's very important that you prove to this person that you can actually help them, right? Because if it doesn't matter how great your claims are, doesn't matter how great your product is, if your prospect doesn't believe you, they're never going to purchase. So it's critical that we prove, all right? And now I'm gonna show you a little bit of a proof here. There's a couple cool ways to do it. I'll talk more about proof after this, but check this out. So take the Chinese buying spree that sent gold from 750 to a record high of 1900 by 2011, a gain of 153%. Again, pretty solid. That's more than double your money. But during the same time frame, our readers saw the opportunity to double their money 16 times using this secret gold trade. Could we do it again? It's not only possible, but I think we could do even better this time around. I'll show you why and how you can get started yourself in just a moment. So notice how they did that proof. It's historical proof, not something that a lot of people see or use. It's a little more advanced, that type of proof. You know, where they talked about the Chinese had done like this big, gold surge, and you could have made a bunch of money. And then notice this one, it's light. It's not like this testimonial proof that you might see like our reader so-and-so did this, but instead they said, here's what happened in the past with our readers. This is what they did, and we can do it again. So very cool historical proof. And most writers will stop with like some social proof, like, hey, this is what other people are doing, or they'll stop with testimonials. There's actually 17 different ways that you can use proof inside your sales messages. That's for an entirely another video that we'll cover another time, but just know, always keep a lookout. And this is why it's so important to grab a swipe file so you can start looking through these sales letters of the legendary copywriters and see, how did they prove it? What kind of proof did they use? Was it historical proof? Was it data proof? Was it, expert proof? Was it credibility proof? Was it social proof? Was it testimonial proof? Was it, what kind of proof was it? And you can see quickly how you can adapt those types of proof into your sales messages. Because the more proof you had, the more that people are going to believe you, the more people will buy from you. So let's go ahead and check out this third element. All right, the third element is picture. And most people were like, picture? Kind of what are you talking about here? Well, what I'm talking about is you have to show a picture of what this prospect's life will be like if they do take advantage of your product or service, right? And you may have seen some sentences, or you've written some sentences that start out with imagine, or just think, or picture, all right? But here's an example. It's about halfway down. I actually included this so you can read it. I'm not going to read it out loud, but the first part is a promise. The second part is a picture. So check out this picture. But if you take this type of gold trade, which historically has shown astronomical returns, you can instead make 100 times your money or more, good enough to turn every 10,000 into $1 million retirement windfall. And in the same time frame, that's the millionaire making power of this one single trade. And while gains like that are rare, capturing even a fraction of this sort of return could be life-changing. So notice some of those words in there. They use millionaire making. They talked about retirement. They talked about even a fraction of this could be life-changing. So now the reader is quickly going, and the readers of this are either retired or in the retirement, close to retirement age. So when they start to look at this, they're thinking to themselves like, oh, what could I do with it in my retirement? Oh, I've been wanting to pay this off, or I've been wanting to retire early, or man, life could be different. So they're starting to think about how their life could be. And they left this picture a little bit vague because they weren't like, you can buy an RV and you could travel the world. They didn't paint that real clear picture and put that person in a box to where if that's not what they wanted to do, you kind of push them aside. But they left this picture vague and talked about retirement, life-changing, millionaire making. So now this person, the prospect who's reading it, they're thinking about, what would it be like if I was a millionaire? What would it be like if I had this money and if I could retire? And man, they're starting to think about those life changes, right? Even you and I think about all that all the time. When someone talks about the money we could make, or this or that or the other thing, you start to dream a little bit, right? We can start to imagine it. But it's important that you use this element about how you can paint this really vivid picture so your reader can imagine. They can use their brain to see what life would be like for the better using your product or service. All right, so let's check out the fourth element. The fourth element is the push. Most people get this in there, but the push is also known as your call to action. And this is actually very important to talk about, because if you do not tell your reader or watcher, if you're doing a video sales letter, what to do, they aren't going to do it. It's important that you get them to take action by telling them this is what you have to do. Now, I have a couple examples here. So here's the first example. This one's a little bit more vague, but this is how you can start your call to action or your push, and then I'll show you one a little more specific. So here it is. Doug Casey's secret gold trade. Earn 27 times more money as gold soars to 5,000. In it, you'll find full details on the December 31st catalyst, plus 2 others that could send gold surging past 5,000. You'll discover the secret gold trade, including the 4 most lucrative opportunities I've identified now. You'll see why they can amplify your gold gains 27 times over or more, and how you can buy into each with as little as $1 and an ordinary brokerage account. And you'll see how Doug has used it to build his independent wealth, the kind that allows him to travel to dozens of countries every year. So this is the starting to the push, because what they're doing is they're wrapping a value around what you're going to get when you purchase this, all right? So now they're starting to push you into this big value thing to where it's clear, right? You want to build more value around your product or service than the money that they would spend for it. Make it a no-brainer, right? So then the second part of the push, I will show you here. Here's another example. This one's more straightforward. One you've probably seen a number of times. It says, here's what I suggest you do right now. Notice those words, right? We're telling them what to do, because if you don't tell them what to do, they're never going to do it, and they may not know what to do, right? So here's what I suggest you do right now. Click the link below to get started right away. You'll be able to review everything on the next page before your order is final. Again, this offer is risk-free for 60 days. If you don't like what you see, call us to cancel and you'll get your money back. Remember, your opportunity for incredible wealth is rapidly closing. I urge you not to delay. Hit the subscribe button below right now. Boom, there's like the full-blown call to action push. This is what you need to do. Go do it right now. Here's what's going to happen next. So very, very cool. Now, let's look at this. So these 4 elements, all right, we've talked about these 4 elements being, you got to make a promise. All right, that's critical in your sales copy. You have to prove that promise. You have to paint this picture of how their life is going to be, and then you have to push them. You push them into what to go do next, right? They're not always in the same order, but they're always in high converting sales messages. Any message that you read that you're like, oh, or watch, you're like, yes, I got to take advantage. It's because those 4 components, those 4 elements are in there. Again, promise. So here's what I want to show you. This is very, very cool. Notice that there's 2 promises up there, but you can grab the big book of copy ideas, all right? You should go, I'm telling you, this is the push, go to clearcutcopywriting.com/big book and download your free book of copy, all right? Huge swipe file. And what you can do is go through and read these sales letters like I had. If you noticed, go back a little bit, see if I can. If you go back a little bit, notice that it says push up there. It's written in red. All right, I've gone through these sales letters and I've written what happens where. And now you have this structure, you have this formula of winning sales letters. And this sales letter that I read, it was long, all right, but it looks like this. I went through the whole thing and it started out with a promise, followed by a second promise. And then it started to show them what their life would be like, and then it proved it. And then it used another proof element, and then it promised something else. And then it started to picture what their life would be like. And then it made another promise. And then it proved it. And then it promised, promise, proof, 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 push, proof, promise, push. So now when you go to write your sales letter, it's simple. You can start it out. You could follow this. You go, all right, I'm going to promise, I'm going to make a promise, and then I got to draw them in by making a picture, right? I got to create this vivid picture for them. And then I got to prove it. And then I got to prove it again. And you follow the same structure, the same foundation. And you take a winning sales letter and you prove where they proved it, you promise where they promise, and you picture where they picture, and you push where they push, just using your product and your services. All right? That's how you create this winning formula. I mean, why reinvent the wheel when some of these sales letters that you can get in the big book of copy at clearcutcopywriting.com/big book, they've sold hundreds of millions of dollars of products. So just structure it out and follow them. All right. So again, you can read winning sales letters, emails, landing pages, ads, and see exactly where they use these elements. Just look for the 4 Ps. Everywhere you go, look for the 4 Ps. And you can jot them down, handwrite them out. Promise, proof, picture, even on landing pages or emails, anywhere, right? See where they put these 4 Ps because they may not put them in the same order. Some might lead with picture, some might lead with a proof element, some might lead with a call to action. Just see where they are and then see how you can use that same formula for your business, your services. So, if you do this, you're gonna get a winning formula. You're gonna have a winning structure. Here's what's cool. If you focus on the little sentences and like just the methods and the techniques and all the little things, and you forget about the structure, you're gonna end up with a dilapidated sales letter, and it's equivalent to a house like this, right? It's not gonna work. It's not what you and I want. It's definitely not what your prospects want. But if you use a blueprint, all right, if you go down and structure the 4 Ps and you come up with a really cool blueprint, you're gonna have the right foundation, you're gonna have the right structure, the right formula for a winning sales letter, and when you write it, you're gonna end up with something like this. All right, you're gonna end up with a sales letter that actually kicks some serious butt, as opposed to this dilapidated, terrible sales message, all right? So again, I appreciate you watching. My name's Sean Andrew Walker. Go over to clearcutcopywriting.com/big book, grab this big book of copy, start to go through, check out the structures, check out the formulas, and go get a winning sales letter formula and go out there and sell. All right, whether you're a freelancer or a business owner, you use this process, you use the 4 Ps, you figure out how winning sales letters do it, you use it in your sales letter, and you can actually go out there and sell a ton. All right, we'll see you on the next one. Talk to you real soon. So long.